Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a marvelous day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. In this video, I'm speaking to everybody who has an opinion. And I'm saying, stop trying to tell Black Americans who we're not. When our family members came to the United States on those slave ships, they knew who they were. They knew their names, they knew their tribes, they knew the area that they came from, the kingdoms that they came from, whether they came from the Ashanti Kingdom, the Kingdom of Dahomey, whether they came from Mali, whether they came from Angola, whether they came from the Congo. They knew where they came from. They knew their names, and they knew their tribes. They knew their language, and they knew their family members, and they valued all of that. They valued all of that in the same way that when Africans come to the United States, they know what their tribe is. They know where they came from, although Africa is different now than it was when our family members came out. Because in 1882, starting with about 1882 or 83, the Europeans went into Africa and carved up that continent and created those borders, started calling them countries, and gave them names. Most of those African countries now were named by Europeans. But the Africans who come here know their name, they know their tribe, they know their language, and they know where they came from. And they are proud of that. When our family members came, they were proud too. That's how come they ended up losing their limbs and getting beat and being deprived of food, because they were saying, no, my name is not Joe. My name is Kunta. But guess what? They were forbidden to use their African names, to speak their African language, and to identify with their tribal members. Over hundreds of years, all of that culture was destroyed. Now we had to create a whole new culture, which we did, and it baffles me that people will come on and say we don't have any culture, when our culture is the most recognizable culture in the world. Things that we do that are our culture, other people start doing it and calling it theirs when it's ours, because we recognize our stuff. Something simple like fist bumping, that originated with Black American culture. But if you go on any social media platform and get a fist bumping gift, it's going to be white people doing it. It's like, how did they steal that? That's really just nothing. But back to the subject. Our family members were proud of their culture. They were proud of their names and their tribe. But it was very important to the people who had them in captivity for them to forget their identity. And that is what's really major to this discussion about Black Americans. If our identity didn't matter, why would somebody tell you, you can't use your name? I got to give you a name. You got to use my name. So that is what happened to our people. So in the process, the whole history of who they were in Africa was forgotten. So in about the last 500 years, we have been in limbo about our history before the United States of America. Some of the milk ain't clean when you're going to tell me that I'm nobody. Well, if I'm nobody, then let me just use my nobody name. Why you got to go back and give me your name? Well, especially when you're trying to subjugate me. And it really goes back to what Frederick Douglass's slave master told his wife. When Frederick Douglass, who was enslaved, was a young boy, his slave master gave him to his grandson as a Christmas present. And Frederick played with the boy and his friends. In those days, wealthy people homeschooled their children when they were very young. The boy's mother homeschooled him and his friends. So as they were doing school, Frederick was in the classroom with them. One day, her husband came home and saw Frederick sitting up in the room learning along with the little white boys. He told his wife, "Do not teach a slave how to read. If he learns how to read, he'll read the Bible, and that will unfit him to be a slave." Now the question, what was he going to learn in the Bible that would unfit him to be a slave? So, not only are we reading the Bible, but black people are going into Africa, into Egypt, doing archaeological digs, doing anthropological studies, doing historical work, studying the ancient texts of antiquity to find out, because these people have written down in the books what they did. And those books are hidden away, some of them hidden away in the Library of Congress. And in some cases, they're so expensive that you can hardly afford them. But the information about what was done to black people is in those books. And black people whose family members came through this system have a responsibility to search out this information to find out what happened to us and why. Now, you wouldn't think that anybody would have a problem with us trying to get to the bottom of who we were before our family members got on those slave ships. Now all of a sudden everybody else wants to tell us who we are and who we are not. Black Americans now have to go on the hard work of trying to discover where we came from, who we were. Then people want to tell you you're Afrocentric. You're not proud of your culture. You're not proud of your history. Hell, we don't know if we're proud of it or not because we don't know what it is. And now people want to shove who they say we are down our throats and get mad if we won't accept it. So here is a video of two different people trying to put us in our place.
They hate themselves the most. They can't come to terms with their own history and where they come from. So they have to make up this whole Afrocentric ideology as like a coping mechanism, coping by hurting other people, by appropriating other people's cultures and stealing from other people.
What they have produced is a therapeutic mythology designed to restore the self-esteem of Black Americans by creating a past that never was. You niggas never was ancient Egyptians. You niggas never were the ancient Egyptians. You weren't the Native Americans. You're not the Moors. You're not none of that shit. You're a tropical African. You're a sub-Saharan African. That's it. Be happy with that. And start teaching your own people's history and culture. Leave these other people's history alone. I'm sick.
So you see the anger and venom that came from these two people who are trying to tell us who we are. The first woman is a North African woman who maybe she's Egyptian. She doesn't even know her own history. Egypt has been invaded by 4 or 5 different groups of people, including the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Persians, the Romans, the British, and then the Arabs came in about 642 AD, which wasn't really all that long ago. So they are the least ones that should be trying to stake claim to ancient Egypt because they just got there. But she's saying that we're trying to create a history because we don't feel good about ourselves. And she seems very sincere. She says we're hurting people. And so this is a coping mechanism. So I guess all of us need to be in therapy because some Black Americans dare to question what the information is that's been dumped on us. Some Black Americans are seeking out information about who we were before we came to America. Now, wherever that leads is where it leads. And nobody's trying to hurt them. They're staking claim to something that's not theirs. She doesn't know her history. Her people are occupying a country that belonged to somebody else, just like white people in the United States are occupying the United States, and they are not the original people of this land. Her people are not the original people of wherever she lives. But it's the second guy, and I guess he's an African guy. He is so angry. Why would he be angry of how Black Americans are identifying? He is angry because Black Americans are saying they're Israelites or Moors or Native Americans. Black people were indigenous to all of these lands. Black people could well be all of those things. He sounds like an African immigrant living in the United States who has taken on white supremacist talking points. Now, what he's doing is equivalent to if a Black American went to Nigeria and a Yoruba said he was an Ashanti. That he decided, I'm not gonna be a Yoruba, I'm gonna be an Ashanti. My family really came from the Ashantis. What would a Black American look like getting mad at that Yoruba or that African person? You would look like a damn fool, that's what he looks like. He sounds like a white supremacist. He sounds like an angry white supremacist who is trying to shove his version of who we are down our throats. Now, how many Black Americans care how Africans, any African, identifies? That doesn't even cross the average Black American's mind. Everybody is trying to tell us who we're not. That gives us an idea that we're on the right track. And as far as Black Americans claiming to be ancient Egyptians, there are Black American men, and it's not just one. When they're tested, their DNA matches that of Ramses III, who was an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. If these other groups of people are secure in who they are and know their history and believe that they are who they say they are, then they wouldn't be worried about what other people are saying. It's only when you start voicing your concern about other people that your insecurity shows. Instead of saying Black Americans are trying to create something because we don't feel good about ourselves, I'm going to say that you're defensive because you don't feel good about who you are. This woman is a descendant of invaders to North Africa. They are not the original people of that land. And I don't have any idea what this African man's problem is. I have no idea why an African would be concerned about an African American's identity at this late date. It's 400 or 500 years later. We don't know exactly who we are, and you don't either. And the fact that he would be so arrogant to come on here and make a statement with so much anger lets you know that he's very concerned about Black Americans. He cares about how we identify, and we don't care how he identifies. But anyway, y'all, I thought I would bring that to you to let you know that people are still really concerned about Black Americans and what Black Americans are saying, what Black Americans are doing, and how Black Americans are identifying. So we know our family members came through the slave system. We don't know exactly who they were and where they came from before that system. I'm not going to automatically assume that somebody that would have sold my family members into slavery is my people. So I'm not so quick to want to identify with people like that. Now, I don't know about you, but that's how I feel. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.